What if how people see you isn't who you are? According to Coates et al. 2021, ethnicity refers to the cultural aspects of identity. This includes language, ancestry, religion, and traditions, while race is a social system that classifies people based on their assumed biological traits. Hi, my name is Brandon Poole, and my story is about learning to define my identity beyond what's visible. I consider myself of Mexican descent. My mom is fully Mexican, and my dad is half Mexican, with Spanish and Filipino roots. But to most people, I just look white. And that's the difference between how I appear and who I am. It has shaped the way that I understand race and ethnicity. My mom's parents, my grandparents, are both of full Mexican descent. My grandfather was a first generation American whose family came from Michoacan, Mexico. His dad, my dad, is half Mexican with Spanish and Filipino ancestry. His mom was fully Mexican, but because of her light skin, many people would consider her a white Mexican. My dad, he never met his biological father, but using a DNA test, he later revealed he's mixed Spanish and Filipino roots. So my family story is layered, generations of migration, mixing, and adapting, but it's all connected by one word, Mexican. Growing up, we didn't talk much about race or even ethnicity. My parents always identified us as Mexican, and that was the extent of it. Neither of my parents speak Spanish today, although my dad's first language was Spanish. My mom never learned how to speak Spanish, even though both of her parents are fluent. When I asked her why, she said that when she was growing up, speaking Spanish was frowned upon. It made her feel like an outsider. She didn't want that for herself or for her children. That's always stuck with me because I realized even though our culture is something to be proud of, society had taught my mom to hide it. As a kid, I only acknowledged my Mexican ethnicity. I hated when people called me white because my entire family is Mexican and I wanted to feel like I belonged. But as I've grown older, I began to understand that society often defines us by what we look like. And my appearance, my white skin, made people assume I was something I didn't feel I was. Now, as an adult, I accept both truths. I am white and I am Mexican. My race is seen as white, but my heart and upbringing are deeply connected to Mexican culture. Even though most people assume I'm white, I always make sure to share my ethnicity proudly because it's a part of me that deserves to be seen. Because of my appearance, sometimes people say things around me that they would never say to someone who looks Mexican. One day when I was at work, a customer got upset with my coworker because they couldn't help her right away. So she turns to me and she says, Mexicans are so lazy, they never want to work. I stopped her and said, I am Mexican. My family is Mexican, and they're the hardest working people I know. She went silent. That moment taught me that prejudice often hides in comfort and the things people say when they think they're in safe company. My light, my light skin gave me privilege in that moment, but I also realize how powerful it is to challenge those assumptions directly. Although my appearance gives me certain advantages, I've still felt the weight of cultural disconnection, of not being seen for who I truly am. I've come to understand that race and ethnicity aren't just check boxes. They're lived experiences that have been shaped by your family, memories, and pride. Society often tries to define identity based on our appearance alone, but true identity is about connection to your ancestors, your culture, and your values. One day, when I have children, I want them to grow up knowing their heritage, not just as a story in a textbook, but as a living part of who they are. I want them to celebrate traditions like Dia de los Muertos, to understand the stories of our ancestors, and know that being Mexican isn't about how you look, it's about where your heart is rooted. If there's one message I'd like to pass on, it's this: never be ashamed of who you are or where you come from. Don't let other people's labels define you. Your identity is not limited to what the world sees. It's built by generations that came before you and by the pride that you carry forward. Because when we tell our stories, the full, honest stories, we challenge the danger of a single story. Identity isn't about choosing one side or yourself. It's about embracing every part that made you who you are. Our stories are just bridges. When we share them, we make it possible for others to see us, not just as one thing, but as whole human beings. Thank you.